Thank you all for coming. The pizza smells delicious. Our guest speaker is the author of Why Didn't They Teach Me This in School? 99 Personal Money Management Principles to Live By. Inspiration for his straightforward and candid guidebook came after discovering that personal finance wasn't taught in schools, and from a desire to pass on valuable financial advice to his children and the next generation. Mr. Siegel has led a successful career as a business executive in brand management for Kraft, and then he went on to launch several companies in marketing and sales. With over 20 awards during his career, he has been the leading speaker at over 50 marketing seminars. By putting his money principles into practice and through hard work, he has been able to retire at the age of 45. Please help me give a warm welcome to Mr. Cary Siegel.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
I am doing great because I get to speak with very intelligent people about a subject they know very little about. So you guys have been going to school since you're 5 years old. Okay, maybe you stopped here and there, you started again. This is at least your 18th year in school. Congratulations, you've done a great job. Go ahead, clap for yourself, come on. It's okay. Seriously, that's an accomplishment. You've done a lot. You've taken a lot of courses, right? How many have taken a lot of math courses over the years? Raise your hand. How many have taken a lot of English courses over the years? Raise your hand. How about science courses? Okay, I bet some of you remember taking art and music and PE and all these electives in college and business courses. That's great. You're going to do exceptionally well in your career and your life. Let me ask you a question. Raise your hand. No, stand up if you want to be financially successful in life and you want to be able to manage your money effectively. Stand up if you want to do that. If you don't, stay seated. Okay, remain standing for a second. Let me ask you a question. Remain standing if you've taken one full course in personal money management, being able to manage your money. I'm not talking an accounting course or a finance course or some sort of management course or marketing. I'm saying specifically in money management, and you've taken that and gotten a grade for it. Look around the room. Okay, you can sit down. Very interesting, right? And that's probably a little bit more than most audiences that I speak with. So you want to be good at money management. You all said that. You want to be able to be financially successful. And by the way, I want to make sure I caveat as I speak. This is not a get-rich class. This is a manage. You know what you're going to make in your careers. You're already there. You're in graduate school. You know where you're going to be. You need to be able to manage your money effectively. That's what we're going to talk about. But you all want to be that. We all want to be there. You all want to be able to manage your money effectively. You want to be financially successful in terms of your lives. Okay? But you've learned nothing. Okay, a couple of you learned something. I guarantee you haven't taken 2 or 3 courses in it, but you have in math. God, you take 5 levels of calculus. Okay? But let me ask you this. Okay, that's like me saying, I'm going to go play for Duke basketball tonight against Elon, but I've never played basketball and I'm going to do a good job. Doesn't happen. It's like, I'm going to be an attorney and I'm going to try this case in this courtroom, but I've never learned how to be a lawyer. I never took 1 class in law school. That's what you're going out there with. Okay? You've all learned, every one of you have learned that money's important to you, right? You've all learned it. I learned it at a young age. You probably had the same scenario. You see this ice cream truck come to the end of the block, and there's music. There's on the side, it's popsicles, creamsicles, fudgesicles, it's ice cream sandwiches. It's heaven. Okay, you go running up. You've never seen it before. This is unbelievable. You're a little kid. You go up. There's kids in line. They're all getting creamsicle for you, fudgesicle, drumstick. Ooh, drumstick. I might have that. You get to the front of the line and say, please, sir, I'll have a fudgesicle. I really like fudgesicles. And the guy's not so nice. He's not the nicest ice cream guy. Goes, kid, you got some money? It costs $1. Money? Go home, go to your family, get some money, and bring it to the truck. I'll give you some ice cream. First time I learned, I need some of this stuff. Okay, you learned it more, right? You're in school, you want to go out with your friends. My God, you might want to go on a date. You need some money for this. Someday you go, I think I want to buy a car. You need some money. Everyone told you you need money. You told yourself. But you know what? And this is a misnomer. Okay, I wrote this book. Why didn't they teach me this in school? It's not just schools that failed you. Your parents failed you. They all told you money is important, but nobody said, hey, let me show you how. And maybe some of your parents did to some extent. I'm generalizing. You'll see that when I talk. I tend to talk in extremes. Okay, I can do that because nobody can talk back to me now, which is awesome. It's a great feeling. So, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, listen to me for the next 40 minutes, and I'll get you interacting a bit. Okay, and I promise you two things. Okay, one is I'm going to make the topic of money management simple, easy to understand, and by God, even a bit interesting. Okay, I've never had anybody fall asleep in any of my talks. I have hit somebody in the back of their head because they started falling asleep, so don't start falling asleep, okay? I'm going to make it that way because we're not going to talk dollars and cents. People freak out. Oh my gosh, you're going to talk about money. I've got to do some math. No. I want you to get these thoughts in your head and change your life and what you do and how you do it. The second thing I'm going to do, and I promise you, okay, maybe the 3 or 4 who took a class, maybe they won't learn the most they've ever learned, but I think they will. I promise you, you will learn more in the next 40 minutes on personal money management than you've ever learned in your life. Okay? Give me your time, and I'm telling you, but if you sit in here, I'll talk about it at the end, and that's all you do, it's your own damn fault if you don't go out and do something about it. I'm going to make it easy for you, because I know attention spans are short, and some of you might go, you know what, this guy's full of crap, I'm out of here, and you'll sneak out and, you know, whatever. I'll catch you if you do. What you're going to do, what I'm going to do for you, is the first 10 minutes or so. I'm going to talk about the 3 things that if you do all the time when you get out of school, I promise that you will live a financially successful life. And when I say that, I don't mean you're going to be tremendously wealthy. If you're going to divinity school, you know what you're going to make. Okay? If you go to, I didn't mean that as a joke. I guess that's not good. Divinity school, you know what you're going to make. Business school, you know what you're going to make. Law school, nursing school, medical school. You know what you're going to make. Okay? You have to live accordingly. That's what I'm going to teach you. So the first thing, and they're all simple. That's why the world complicates everything. I simplify it. It's the only way I know how to live my life. Okay? You can do the same thing. First thing, always live below your means. What does that mean? It's always live below your means. It means, I'll answer my own question. Okay? I'll ask you some questions. I'm answering this one. It means you're going to make some sort of income, maybe up to here. You're going to live about here. Okay? Here's where we've gotten ourselves into trouble, and I see it. I'll give you an example when I say it depends on levels of income. Okay? Movie stars, sports stars. There's some that make $10 million a year, but they spend $15 million a year. They're bankrupt. You can live a better life than them, a much easier mindset. Your life will be easier if you're making $40,000, but you're only spending $35,000. Okay, but here's the problem. Here's what we've done in our country, and probably other countries, but I only know this country. Okay. We've become pigs. We want everything. We want it now. We want it because somebody else has it. We have to have an iPhone. I mean, I can't afford the new iPhone 8. It's $1,000. Do you need it? Now you may. It may be within your budget. Maybe what you want. But you don't have to have everything, and you don't have to have everything now. You have to look at what you need and do it accordingly. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't live a good life. Doesn't mean you can't have things that you want and live appropriately. It means you have to make choices between wants and needs. And we're going to talk about that a little later. Wants and needs, because that's important. Second thing, and I'll ask a question on this one. This is one people ever when you say, develop a written budget, track and analyze it every single month. Why do the vast majority of Americans not do that? Why don't they do that? Up there on the left. It's scary. Why is it scary? Sort of nailed it. Americans don't want to look at it because they don't want to see that they can't have this when they only have this. They'd rather operate blindly, right? I don't want to know, because then I've got to stop. I've got to do things differently. I've got to do it differently. I'm going to give you a book for that answer. How do you like that? What the heck? It's very interesting, and I will tell you this. The other things that scare people is putting something in writing. Track and analyze sounds like it's a class. It's simple. I've done it since I was 19 years old, okay? Looked at what was coming in, which was like nothing, and what was going out. And I put it on, I still have it in a shoebox, in handwriting. And I look at it and say, okay, it took me about 10 minutes then, 5 minutes. It takes me maybe a half an hour every month to do that. But what it does is it tells you what you can and cannot do. It tells you, I'm screwing up here, I need to cut my expenses. I'm doing okay here, so I can do more here. If you don't look at it and understand it and analyze it, you won't know what to do. You can't make adjustments. I'll give you an example, okay? So I'm supposedly successful, right? Who knows? What's success? It's not money. Money isn't success. What you're doing in life is success. But anyhow, I have a budget at the beginning of the year, and I manage that budget throughout the year. If something comes up, and we're going to talk about credit cards a little bit later, if something comes up and something way kills my budget, well, I have to cut on other things, okay? Okay, I don't have all the money in the world to do whatever I want to do, okay? But I can live okay. So this year, the middle of the year, we're going on a family vacation. It's always in the budget, but we had a medical emergency. My daughter, who's in the room, in the back, she's here today. She goes to Duke. She's an undergrad. She had to go in the hospital for 5 days. Health insurance doesn't cover everything. Okay, I had a surgery I had to have. Health insurance doesn't cover everything, even though you have it. So I looked and said, okay, no vacation this year. I could have said what everybody else says, and we'll talk about credit cards. I deserve it. We're going on vacation. Put it on the credit card. I owe a lot of money, no big deal. I set a bad example for my kids. I'd kill myself. I hurt myself. Okay? You've got to manage. It's you. We're going to talk. It's you that has to figure it out and manage it. No one's going to tell you. No one's going to say, hey, the banks are going to tell you all the time. Sure, go ahead. Credit card, take it out. You want it. You want it. Definitely you want it. Look at the commercial on TV. The third thing. Okay, so we've talked about two of them. The third thing, and this is interesting. It's something that I learned in class. I was in my 19th year of school, okay, like you guys. I was in business school, taking a class from my accounting professor. And by the way, I'll say it because I did it. I went to every single class because I was paying for my school. And you know what? A lot of the professors have a lot of good things to say, better than the textbook. Okay, I teach now, I don't even refer to the textbook because I think you get more from stories and anecdotes and things that get you learning and thinking. Well, this guy said something that I'll never forget. Dan Edwards, accounting professor. Didn't have to take the accounting class because that wasn't my major. I got lucky. I was in that class that morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he said, look, here's the deal. You guys are going to come out and you'll make some money, okay? More or less, whatever you want. But you're going to live on that money. You're going to find a way to live on that money. Great. Someday, they're going to come up to you and they're going to say, hey, you did a great job. You did a great job. Here's some more money. How cool is that? You got some more money. Or you might say, you know what? I'm doing a really good job here. This other place is going to give me more money. I'm going over there. Be careful, by the way. When you run to a job with more money, make sure you check it out. That's another. I'll come back to talk about that one. When you do that, he said, live a little bit better, save a little bit. Live a little bit. Every time you do that, every time you get a pay increase, it's okay to live better because you earned it. It's okay to start saving and save more. Take 50% of your pay increase, not your salary, your pay increase, Live a little bit better, take the other 50% and save and invest it. I actually did the reverse. I did it even more so. I lived a little bit better by 10%. That's why I was able to retire at 45. Everyone is different, but I'm not suggesting that. Half and half, half and half. He said, if you do that, you're going to continue to live a better life, and you're going to find that all of a sudden you hit a certain age that you can do whatever you want. And let me ask you guys a question. How many of you like being told what to do? No. Let me tell you another secret. You're going to hate it the older you get. So I'm not suggesting you don't have to work, you don't have to do, but you can make your own choices if you do the right things at a young age. And you build it up. And you will be, believe it or not, you'll be as old as me someday. And you'll go, thank you. Hopefully I'll get an email saying, Cary, thank you. You know, and I'll be like, what did he say? I don't know what he's talking about. I never taught that. I don't know what's going on here. Anyhow, do those three things. Develop a written budget. Always live below your means. And every time you get a pay increase, live a little bit better, save a little bit. It's impossible. Okay? It's totally, totally impossible not to do well financially in life if you do that. Okay? Because you're not getting behind. You're not being stupid. Okay? I look at people and say, it's not someone else's fault that this is happening. You did it to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. I've given you the three things. Okay? Give you the three things. But I want to talk about more. Is that okay? Everybody want to stay in here? Have I got your interest? Have I scared you? Some people are sleeping already. I can see it. Wake up. I'll give you permission to use your smartphones for a second. Go on usdebtclock.org and someone tell me what the U.S. national debt is. Exactly. What's that? I didn't hear it.
20 trillion.
Oh, he's doing Siri, okay. No, go on usdebtclock.org because there's a lesson for you there. I always curse at Siri, so. What's that?
Moving fast.
It's moving fast. So can you give me an exact number?
No, it keeps changing.
It keeps changing, but why does it keep changing?
Because the government is the government and it's spending a lot of money at once, and
Thank
it's
you.
hard to keep track of it second to second.
You're right. You can't, it's going to keep going up and up. Just like look at you look at student loan debt. Okay, that's a cool thing. I don't know when I found that, but I think it's the coolest thing to look at because it gets in your head, what the heck is going on? And here's my point from it. Okay, and I'll have discussions with people, friends of mine, who disagree with me. And a lot of people will, but it's common sense to me. Debt is bad. Debt is bad. I have a good friend who's the CEO of Deutsche Bank. He says to me, you're wrong, Cary. You know why it's not wrong? Us in this room, I want to drill into your head. The only reason you need debt in your life, college, your first house, never a house after that, your first car and never a car after that. Okay, and that's another subject we can talk about at some point. My point I want to make to you is, yes, my banker friend is right. Debt is needed for certain things. But for individual people living their lives, it's the worst thing. And we're going to talk about credit cards in a second. But here's the thing. But that's not what people tell you. Banks, why do you think banks are okay with it? That's how they make billions of dollars. And I'm not saying banks are bad. Okay, but they make money by getting you to take out loans to live better. The same thing when it comes to credit card companies. I mean, they're making a bet, and we'll talk about it in a second, and they're winning every time. They're making billions and billions of dollars. I'll tell you what I do. I own stock in credit card companies because I know that what's happening isn't going to change unless I can talk to 200 million people in the next 6 months, which isn't going to happen. I don't think they want to listen to me. The government, right? The government's telling you, hey, if government's doing it, $20.5 trillion debt, and it's okay. Your parents told you it, or some parents, by spending all that they wanted to spend, and it didn't matter. Okay, they took credit card debt on. I'm going to tell you, don't do that. Talking about debt. Apologize for looking at it. I'm going to have to do this once in a while because I can tend to talk, How many of you have one credit card? At least one credit card. Raise your hand high. Of course, most of us all have. How many have more than one credit card? Okay. Let me tell you something. I'm going to talk about credit cards for a second. Okay. You probably know that the only reason to have more than one credit card is if you have a business. Okay. You're being marketed to all the time, especially in college, is you want my credit card because you know what? Target asks me every day. I mean, I own Target because of what we spend as a family in there. They every day they're like 5% savings, 5%. Have one credit card. It's simple and easy to manage, and the people, it's proven, the more credit cards you have, the more in debt you're going to be. Only because it tends to be the lifestyle of somebody using them. Plus you have to keep track of all these different things. Don't do it. Have one credit. If you have 2 or 3, just get rid of them, okay? Second part of that, and it's a dirty little secret that credit card companies don't want you to know, even though it's pretty obvious, okay? When it kills me because it's happening to so many people in America. What you want to do is let's say I have my credit card and it starts November 1st and it ends November 30th, and I don't pay them until December 15th. Well, if I use that credit card, and I use that credit card November 1st, especially the first week of the month, second month of the month, I am using their money to pay my bills as long as I pay them on December 15th every single time. Okay? I'm making money on them. I don't care. I mean, the points, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. That's why I don't have more than one credit. Fine, get points from whoever you want. But I'm making money. And I'm not going to go into a discussion on the time value of money. But money is more valuable when you're using someone else's money versus paying somebody to use their money. What the credit card company's bet is that the majority of us, the vast majority of us, they won't do that. They won't pay off at the end of the month. Okay? So you owe them. You owe them money. Okay? $100 is worth a couple $100s to them. They know it. They've seen the facts. Because you're not going to pay until later, much later. Pay it off every single month. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. Something that I do with my budget, ties in with credit cards and the budget, whole budget situation, is you have to have an emergency fund when you have a budget. And when I say an emergency fund, I mean something that helps you for both negative emergencies and positive emergencies. Okay, have a fund, have that in your budget. A negative emergency, it might be you need a root canal and your dental insurance doesn't cover it because it doesn't really. Or you had a fender bender and your deductible doesn't cover it all. So it's going to happen, okay? A positive emergency, we had a positive emergency this year. I didn't factor it in. A nephew of mine in February got engaged and they got married in October in a different city. Okay, I want to go to it. I want our family to go to it. When I was younger, I couldn't do that. I'd have to say, I can't go, I don't have the money. Most people would say, well, put it on my credit card. Your emergency fund prevents you from doing that. And here's what's interesting. Well, what if I don't have an emergency? Great, put it into next year. How many of you have not had a positive or negative, and I'm not saying, when I say emergency, people think, big. Small things that happen during the year that you didn't plan for. Who hasn't had one every single year of their life? Okay? Everybody has things that happen they don't plan on. So don't think it's not going to happen to you. That's one of the biggest things that happens with credit cards. It's okay, we'll just put it on our credit card. We have to do it. We have to go to the wedding. We have to go to this. And I'll get grief from family members or friends. I've probably lost friends because I'm like, I can't go, I can't afford it. You know what? That's how, if you manage your money properly and you're doing the right things and you explain, people understand that. If they don't, you've got to do what's important to you, what makes sense to you. Here's something you'll think that's crazy that coincides with that. You'll think it's crazy, but I've been doing it since I'm right out of business school. I've had an emergency month every year. Emergency month. Emergency month. Well, and this is perfect timing because it's November. What happens in December and then what happens in January when it comes to eating? Anybody want to tell me what happens in November? Yeah.
All the holiday food.
Okay? So you eat a lot. And what happens in January? Absolutely. That deserves a book. And so it happens in December. It happens every single. You can count on it like clockwork. Oh, I'll deal with it next month. And then you're walking to the gym like this. Oh, I'm ready to work out. And then say, I'm going to do this. And you spend that money and you last about a week. And you realize you signed up for 10 years and you're screwed. Right? Well, an emergency month financially isn't as difficult. Because it's a mentality. What I do every January, because think about December, the other part. What else happens in December? Spend like crazy. It doesn't matter, it's Christmas and Hanukkah. And you just, it started now. They made sure they put the songs in the stores already. Already in my Sirius XM on November 1st, they have the holiday station. It's not bad, it's great stuff. But what something equates to, I'm gonna eat what I want, I'm gonna spend what I want, and damn it, I deserve it, right? And you want to treat everybody right, you want to go to all the parties, you want to do everything, you got to spend money. Okay, again, first off, plan for it in your budget, right? Makes sense. But secondly, understand in January, it all changes to the next level, really deep. What you do, you spend virtually nothing. When I say nothing, you eat you don't go out for dinners. You make your lunches rather than go to work and go out for lunch. Rather than go to the movies, rather than go out for entertainment, you stay home. There's actually a lot better TV on now than there used to be, where there's actually pretty cool stuff. Okay, you use your Netflix, actually. You go to the park, you read, you connect also with your family members and friends. It's actually pretty cool. Now, I will admit to this. My wife, who actually decided to marry me after me telling her this, when I met her 26 years ago, I waited until a little bit before the marriage to let her know this. We're doing this. She thinks this is the best thing now because it also brings us back into a different mindset. Brings you closer. Okay, that's a whole other subject, relationships, because I think money, health, and relationships are the three things they don't teach you about in school that are very important. Okay, but try it. Try it this January. You know, and send me an email. Say, you know what, Cary? It didn't work. You're full of crap. You know, or Cary, you know what? This is pretty cool. Because what it also does is it changes your life, your starting point for the rest of the year. If you start here and you keep here. The other thing you do during that month, I don't want to forget to say, you look at all the bills, all the things you're paying. You need them all. You might, but you also call up all your suppliers and say, I'm not using you anymore. You'll be surprised. I definitely get at least a 15% reduction in every service that I have by making those calls in January. You need to do that when you're coming out of school. Don't take it when people are saying, this is what it costs. That's another, I teach a negotiation seminar. That's something that will help you in the future. Make sure you learn how to do that. And if I have time, I'll tell you the 4 main things that you can do with that. By the way, and I'm not here to sell my book, but if you're afraid of developing a budget, my book does it really simply. Okay, there's a lot of things out there, but I do it in 3 or 4 pages. It tells you all the different lines of a budget that you need to worry about: housing, food, entertainment, clothing, furniture, everything. The same thing with negotiation. I do it in 1 or 2 pages because you need things simple. You don't want to learn everything, you know, to the nth degree, which is what people think you want. Okay, let me change my thought process a bit. How many hours, I got a book for you, how many hours a day do adults spend on their smartphone? No, you're wrong. No, wrong. Close? Both of them were close. Who wants? Ah, there you go. I'll give it to you. See, look, you just did process of elimination. That's smart. That's a smart guy. What school do you go to?
I'm in mid school.
There you go. See, the doctor knows about. Look at that. But you're not a doctor yet. Hopefully, you'll become one. I think you will. I'm not saying that because you shouldn't. I actually think you should be on it, except for my kids, because my daughter can. She's older. I have my son up there too. He's in high school. He should be done with a smartphone. Done with it. But no, the smartphone is great because you can learn a lot. You can do a lot with it. What I'm going to ask you to do is spend 1 hour every single week from here to forever, learning about personal money management. And not just through the smartphone. I'll give you one that most business people would laugh at. I went to University of Chicago, it's a good business school. And they would laugh if I said, get the magazine, Money Magazine. The reason why I say it is because it's simple, it's easy, and you can learn a lot and skip through whatever you want to do. It's $10 a year. I don't get paid by them to say this. I've had it since I'm 20 years old, and I've learned a lot of things that have made me better. You guys may be looking and say, I don't think he's that good, but at least better than what I would have been. And the third thing is, talk to people who have run all spectrums of learning how to managing money. Talk to people who have done it well. You'll learn a ton. They like to, look at me, I like to talk about it because they've got a lot they can teach you. Talk to people who haven't done well and what happened. Friends, family, people at work, professors. Ask them, hey, give me the 3 things that you can teach me about managing my money that'll help me out. By the way, I've talked to, as bad off as the homeless, I've had discussions with them, talks with them, and as high up as people with net worths of over $500 million. And I've talked to them all afterwards, and it's amazing what I've learned, okay? It's amazing what I've learned. For example, homeless people, usually alcohol and drugs that cause it, but a lot of it is their money management too. It slips through their fingers. So take this stuff to heart. Okay? Take it out, because you know what? That hour a week is 52 hours in the next year, 520 hours over the next 10 years. You all look relatively young, right? So 10 years from now, you'll have 520 more hours versus this 45 minutes that you're listening to me. 520 hours. You can't help but learn and learn more, okay? You can't help but become good at it. And you know what? I'll guarantee you this, too. In this room, maybe 5 people will take me up on that. And you will be better off than everybody else in here. So be one of those people. Let me ask this. This is an interesting question, because I'll be curious. How many of you feel peer pressure? Okay. There you go. I'm glad some people are raising their hands, because first of all, you're probably going, does he think this is high school? No. I will tell you this. I think peer pressure, and it has a different name as you get older, gets worse and worse. It's actually worse than high school. Okay? And it's called keeping up with the Joneses. Okay? I've seen it. I live in a neighborhood where 20 to 30% of the homes in the financial crisis, people walked away from their homes and went bankrupt. Yet, their kids still had brand new cars. They were still going on vacations. Okay? I knew it was happening, and I saw it. It's going to continue to happen. You're going to look at people and say, well, I have a better job than them, yet they just bought this. I've got to get this. They've got my son, one of his best friends, just got a brand new Mustang. What have you been driving? But how old? And how many of you have driven it? All of them. 5 kids driving the same car for the last 5 years, because I own it. Because I don't have to do what others are doing, and I don't want to teach that. And you'll have the responsibility to teach your kids the right things. You need to, and this is where we get to wants and needs. You need to prioritize your own wants and needs. Now what I mean, I'll call it, they have Maslow's hierarchy, I'll call it Siegel's hierarchy, okay? Not because it's ego, it's just because no one else probably described it as this. And I'll tell you what a need and a want are. A need to me is what probably Maslow knows it. Housing, transportation, food, clothing, water. Yes, entertainment, insurance for health, things like that. That's a need, right? That's a need. A want is the next levels up, and what you determine to be your next levels up. I'll give you an example. Okay, I can make a hamburger at home on the grill. Okay, little George Foreman grill, if you have a little place, it's fine. Or I can go to McDonald's. I don't think people go there anymore, but I could go to McDonald's. Or I can go to Outback and get a steak. Or I can go to a really nice, I can go to Washington Duke Inn and get a steak. Well, those are wants. How high do you go up? And how do you do that? And can you afford it? And can you afford it? Can you afford to do that? And is that something you care about? Okay, housing, the same thing. Apartment, house. Transportation, do I need transportation? I have a daughter who's starting work at the end of the year. She doesn't want to have a car. Okay? Makes sense. If she's going to live in the city, why do you need a car? Well, if somebody else has a car and lives there, maybe she needs to get it. Hopefully that's not her mindset. I don't know. If so, maybe I can change it. If not, it's her life. Right? It's her life. I'll give you an example. I came out of grad school owing more money than you guys owe probably coming out of your schools. Because back then, and I'm an old guy, I'm 56. So I came out of grad school when I was 23 years old, and I owed close to $80,000 in student loans. And part of that was an emergency loan from my university and an emergency loan from my first job. Okay? That's okay. I had a budget. And I prioritized. There's all these things we said on a budget, right? Housing, transportation, etc. I put two things on the top. I moved to New York, because that's where the job was. Okay, I actually didn't want to go to New York because of the expense of it. But what I did was I prioritized two things. Paying back that loan, which included saving and investing. So those saving as much money as I could. That was number one. I think that should be one of your top two, regardless of who you are. Okay? Investing, saving, whatever it is, making sure you have extra money to do that. And the second thing, I said, well, was entertainment. I was 23 years old. I was living in New York City. I was going to enjoy my life at the same time. Okay, but I wasn't going to use credit card debt. I wasn't going to use any of that. And you guys can all do the same thing because I prioritized. Everything else went down to the bottom. And I'm not saying this to, I had a great life. No sympathy for the fact that I lived in a family's basement that was 200 square feet, not like basements you know now where they're like decked out, etc. This was a dungeon, okay? But it was okay. It was my choice. It had a one-burner stove, a mini fridge like you guys have in college. I had a bed that turned into a couch and a TV. And you know what? Some of my friends came over sometime and they laughed at me. But that was okay. They're my friends. They understood. I could care less. You need to do the same thing. Figure out what's important to you and prioritize it. The same thing when it comes to products and services. Okay? For me, as you can tell, I get my hair cut at Great Clips when the coupon comes out. So I actually got my hair cut this week, so I probably look okay. Okay? $7.99. A haircut isn't important. I've been married to the same woman for 24 years. I don't have to impress her anymore. Right? I wear good sneakers. These shoes, sometimes I don't wear shoes to my presentation. I figure I'm going to Duke. I gotta, look okay. I'm looking at some of you guys. I'm like, I don't think I had it dressed too well. But what's important to you? You have to prioritize. If I wanted the best of everything, well, then I need the money of somebody who has everything. I retired at 45. I can't do all those things. That's okay. But I'm happier because I got to spend the last 10 years with my kids growing up. That's fun. To me, that was a priority. Someone else would be, no, I got to be, I want to be the CEO. I could have been, that's not, but that's me. That's not you. You need to get that in your head. And we'll talk about that more later because I think it's so important. What do you think? Number one argument people have in marriages. What's the number one topic? Money. You better say money, because what the heck, right? What's number two?
Sex.
Sex. Who said sex? You got to get a book for that. Only got one more book left. That was a good answer, sex. Children are up there too. Sex sometimes comes before money, they say. I don't know. Anyhow, the funniest thing to me, and it came to me, some of this just comes to me just because I think crazy things, but it's real. What's the least talked about subject when you're dating? Money, by far. Hey, you see someone new, you want to date, let's go to dinner, let's go do this, let's go away for a long weekend, let's go have some fun. Oh, don't worry, I have it covered. We've got it covered, don't worry, no problem. Think about it. You guys have all been in relationships. That subject needs to be discussed before you're married. And you know what? 90% of people don't discuss it. And 90% of people don't know what they're getting into, okay? It's what you have your arguments over and discussions over your entire life if you're married, or you get divorced over. Okay? Do you know, for example, I'm not going to sometimes, I don't want to get embarrassing, but think about it. If you're seeing someone, you've been seeing them for a little while, you probably know if they're a spender or a saver. Do you know if they're in debt? Do you know how much debt? By the way, if you get married, that's your debt. Okay? And some of you may be shaking your heads because you've had this happen to you. Okay? How much credit card debt? Do they have a student loan debt? What's their philosophy on money? Those are serious topics that conversations you should have. There's no reason not to. Make sure you do it. I say in my book, marry the right financial person. And some people say, oh, you telling me to marry someone rich? No, not at all. If you're a spender and they're a saver, you're going to, boom, clash. Make sure you have the same thought process. Let me ask you this. I'm trying to think I think I can give out my last book. How much, and you can't, if you have a book, you can't look this up. Okay, you're disqualified. How much does it cost to raise a child from birth to before you go to college? Back row in the Duke shirt. Wrong. How much did you say?
Quarter.
Oh, quarter, you're right. I thought you said 400. You're right. How'd you get that?
I think I heard it somewhere before.
You beat the guy next to you who I was calling on, so you guys have to share the book.
Oh.
Or maybe they can give you a book too. What were you going to say? Oh, then you don't get anything. Here's the deal. What's interesting, and I'm not saying this not to have kids. I have 5 kids, okay? I have 5 kids, which tells you why my wife and I never argued about sex. Sorry, guys. I had 5 kids, and I will tell a lot of what I'm telling you, I didn't know coming out of the reason why I wrote this book, it was for my kids. I didn't think it would become a bestseller. I just want them to get my knowledge and my thoughts. And my knowledge and my thoughts aren't necessarily the right thing, but I think they are. Okay? It worked for me, but you need to realize that if you're going to have children, it costs money. I never thought it. I'm like, I love kids. I think they're great when they're little. They're so much fun, and then they become that. And all you do is deal with money, 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 all over the place. I'm kidding. But you have to realize that this is something that matters. You're going to have a bigger house. You're going to have a bigger car. Everything you do, you should put your kids first. That's my belief. Even if you don't, you're going to have to pay out for a lot of things that you didn't before if it's just the two of you. Again, I'm not saying don't do it. Here's when I came to the realization. You guys will laugh. I'm not making this up. We had 5 kids under 5, so we had 5 in car seats. Imagine that, okay? 5 in car seats. And I can remember the day my wife called me. I was traveling, and she said, I think that's the last package of diapers we have to buy. Holy cow. I came home with a bottle of champagne, opened it up and said, we don't have to spend all this money anymore. Because the diapers were like crazy. And we were spending hundreds of dollars a week on diapers. So it's much easier now. Now, again, have kids because you love them and you want to have them, but understand the cost of it so you can provide properly, okay? So you can do the right things. How many people have a good friend or a family member who's won millions of dollars at a casino in one night? How many people have a friend or family that's won millions of dollars in the lottery? How many people have a friend or family member who started up a company in the first week made millions of dollars? I asked somebody this, and they knew somebody who had everything. Nobody. It's very rare. Okay. Here's why I say that. Okay? If it hasn't happened to you now, it's probably not going to happen to you. Okay. It's not going to happen to you. So here's what I recommend, and I want you to really think about it. And I'm going to say the words, and you say, this isn't because I want you to get rich slowly. It's not going to happen. Understand it takes the things that I've been talking about, the things that I'm saying, to get rich, so to speak, to be able to live financially well. Enjoy the ride as you're doing it. You know, I didn't even know. I look back. I didn't even know. I didn't care I was living in some guy's basement. I had a great life. not poor me, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the closing, we're going to talk about that for a second. But remember that. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy what's happening. Now I'm going to tell you 3 things, because I want to make sure I get these to you, because I think it's cool. I'm going to say, how does this relate to money management? I'll say it big time. I'm going to tell you the 3 things that if you show these characteristics, when you start working, and for those of you, a lot of you probably have jobs already, will probably shake your head, yeah. If you do these 3 things, and I call them the 3 Ps, if you do them, then you will never lose a job unless the company goes under. And the reason why I say that about money management is, if you lose a job, it kills you financially. Okay, all the budget stuff, all the things I said, if you have nothing coming in for a while, you're hurting. So I want you to do these 3 things. 1, show passion. Show passion, positive attitude in a job. Okay, show them the passion that you have. Don't be the one who's like, time to make the donuts, I gotta go into work. Be somebody who's like, you need something extra? I'm here because I really love this job. This is awesome. Even if you have to fake it a little bit. You know what? There's so many people gossiping and talking and doing whatever at their job. Be that person who has a passion that shows it. It works. They're not gonna, if you combine these 3, that's good. The second one, persistence. Okay, persistence I break into 2 things. One is, and I tell my students, I actually don't teach this in a course, I teach a business communication class. I live in Tampa, Florida. I teach a business communication class. And I tell them at the beginning of the course, every time I say, here's the deal. Come to class, participate actively, hand in all your work, complete it, and on time. And it's impossible in this course. I guarantee you, you will definitely get an A or a B. And in most cases, you'll get an A. Because if you've done all that, you've probably done it pretty well. And you know what? I get 30% C's, D's, and F's. And you know what? I've had just about all of them apologize to me because I say in every class. Those are the rules. And those, I tell them, the reason why I tell them that, those are the rules in life. Those are the rules in life. You do it, you're going to win. The other part of it is persistence, is taking to the next level, hard work. And I contend this, okay? I think that you're successful based on 2 things. Hard work and brains. Okay? You guys probably have done pretty well to this point. This is a good school. You know whether you've done it via brains or hard work, but I will tell you this. The worst person in the world, and I can't stand to see it, is somebody who has brains but doesn't put in the work. They're going to lose. At some point, they're going to lose. Okay? The best person, obviously, if they have both. You cannot lose. If you're smart and you work hard, you will not lose. The best person you love to see, and you're never gonna let them go in your organization, is the hardest worker who might not have the best brains, but they're gonna do it every time. Show that hard work. I'll tell you this, I teach an interviewing class too. And I actually interviewing, I would love to take you guys through because I know how to get a job every single time. Right, Sam? Right? Right. She's my daughter, she's gotta say right. But one of the things that you do, at the end of an interview, you say, look, I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to work harder than anybody else you're interviewing today, anyone else you've ever hired. And you know what? Nobody says it. I've interviewed hundreds of people, and I've never had anybody say that. I've said it to every one. Think about that, okay? Some of you are interviewing now. The last one, and this one no one will ever guess unless they've read my book. Not going to ask because I have no books left. Last one, something you wouldn't think of, politeness. 3 Ps, the last one is politeness. Be polite to everybody you come in contact with. Treat them, treat them as if they were your boss. Treat people around you the same. Treat people who work for you the same. Treat them all very well. Go above and beyond helping them. And you'll find 3 things. You're going to feel better about yourself because 2, they're going to feel better about themselves. And 3 is people aren't going to want to, they're going to want to be around you. They're not going to let you go. If you do these 3 things, and I'm going to give you an example of one, okay? Passion, persistence, politeness. And this is a true story. I'm sitting in my office. I had just taken a pretty big gamble to go work at a company in Tampa, Florida. And it was a Thursday that I had come there, that I had arrived. And it was 7 o'clock at night, and I was in my office doing work, and guy pops in, sort of pops by and puts his head in jeans and a t-shirt. I think he had cigarettes, if I remember properly, he had cigarettes like in the corner of his back. And he popped his head with a smile. He said, "Hey, you're new here." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know, do you need to get in here?" Because it's a janitor, the custodian. I said, "Come on in, sit down." He said, "What?" He said, "What do you do here?" I told him what I did. I told him how passionate and excited about I was. You know, talked to him for a little while. He came in. We talked about football because it was December. I remember vividly. We talked. He said, "Okay." I said, "I'll see you probably tomorrow night. You know, stop by." He didn't empty my garbage or anything at the time. I figured he was going to come back. I didn't think anything of it. The next morning around 11 o'clock, I get a call from the assistant to the CEO, who I knew the CEO because he was one of the people that interviewed me and hired me. He said, "Hey, you want to come up? The CEO wants to introduce you to the chairman. I think he wants to go to lunch with you." I said, "Okay, well that's nice, makes sense." So I go upstairs to the office, and I start walking to the CEO's office, and who walks out? But who I thought was the custodian with a wild grin on his face. He said, "You thought I was a janitor, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah, I guess." He said his name was Tommy. Well, I knew the CEO's name. That was back when you didn't have all the books, and you can see what Tommy. The CEO went by Tommy. Excuse me. Anyhow, so the guy was laughing. He said, "You know, let's go to lunch. You're gonna do great here." He said at lunch, he's like, "I'm gonna take care of you because you know what? You treated me how people should be treated. You showed me the passion, because I can tell you're really into your job." And obviously he didn't say about working hard, but I knew he said, and you know what? The guy did help me. Over the years, he helped me a lot. So think about that when you're at a job. The last thing I want to leave you with, and I think I have a couple minutes for questions, is this is something that pertains to money management, but it pertains to everything. Everything in the world. But for money management, and I say it and I talk about it, it's all up to you. Okay? I can't tell you, the years I've been around and I've talked to people, and all I ever hear is, I hear it at the soccer fields, I'll hear it, at school things I'm at social functions, whatever. The bank gave me a bad interest rate. The bank talked me into this loan. The lawyer told me I didn't have to read the papers here, so I signed them. My parents never taught me this. Okay, you know what? Some people learn it when they're 7 years old, some when they're 20, some when they're 30, some when they're 50, some when they're 70, some never at all. But from here on in, I want you to realize it's all up to you what you do in managing your money. If you walk out of here, you can walk out of this room and say 3 or 4 things. One of them could be, the guy was full of crap. Whatever he's saying, I listened to him. I got some free pizza, some water. Great. You could say, yeah, that was interesting. The guy's sort of entertaining. I've heard that. I can keep an audience for this long, so that's okay. Yeah, good. Walk out, forget it all. Or you can do the third thing and say, you know what? He's right. It's up to me, and I need to take financial control of my life, and it's not that hard if I put in the effort. So do me a favor, put in the effort, and I swear you guys will do well financially in life. Thank you very much for your time. I'm here if anybody has questions. I think we've only got a couple minutes, but I'll be here for a little while if you need to ask a question.